Oh, sorry for the late start, folks. I was responding to someone who was arguing about a disqualification. So they've wasted our time twice because some of you voted on a game that had rules on had instructions on the game page, and then when I disqualified it, I had to explain why I was disqualifying it twice. So, you know, I wonder how much time that has wasted overall when you put it all together. It is difficult, this kind of stuff, because you write the rules out and then people ask for a million rule clarifications. So you put the rule clarifications in and you end up with a rules document that is so long that people miss the really basic stuff. But I've only seen 2 or 3 games where people missed the thing about not putting the controls on the game page. And so I think it's reasonable to assume that that was a rule that was well communicated and people understood it. The caveman in my intro is from Folk Emerging. It was the ping tuber that the dev sent us for the playtesting video. If you haven't watched our playtesting video essay, the dev sent us like a version of him talking as the caveman from his game, which is this PNG tuber. But yeah, I've disqualified like 3 things for putting the controls here where they weren't supposed to. It's just one of those things. One of the things I used to do as a teacher, when you're marking a bunch of people's work and you're not like marking to a set criteria from someone else, because like some types of courses at school and stuff, they have a set criteria from outside that you mark on, but on university courses you often have to make it up yourself. One of the things I would do is I would have all my marking criteria. I would mark everyone on that criteria and just give them what I thought they should have. And then I would look at if there was one area that was really weak for nearly everyone, then I would assume that that was because I hadn't taught that well. And then I would downweight that area of the grade, right? So if we had like 4 criteria and one of them was like a use of specialist language or something, and everyone did poorly at that, I would make that part of their grade worth less because the fact that everyone did poorly at that indicated a problem with the teaching rather than the individual student's application, right? So same concept here. If everyone, apart from 2 or 3 people, have got the rule right, have not put the controls in the description and stuff like that, then that to me is a reasonably strong sign that that was communicated well enough and that it's kind of okay to disqualify people for that. But fundamentally, I don't want people wasting their time voting on and giving lots of feedback on games by people that didn't bother to read the rules or decided not to follow them. It's a chick. It's a chicken. Is this called chick with a gun? Okay. We can do the arrows or we can do a controller. Okay. We're gonna boingy over there. It's a very satisfying stomping on enemies noise. Can we go off there? Is that a wall? That's a wall. Yeah, the couple of people that did put the controls in the description also had this problem of like the game was sort of impenetrable and people were going, I don't understand how to play your game. And it's like, well, you were supposed to make it simple enough and then also communicate it in the game itself. What's that? Is that? Oh, that's to show us the level at the end of the level. That walk cycle is great. Yeah, I saw Tim Kane's video. He did get me slightly wrong. He said, most of Joe's experiences in indie. I was like, that's not really what happened. Most of my experiences in making the worst types of games ever. And then I made this channel so that I could focus on trying to help people who are making the best type of games ever instead. I do occasionally get people show up on this channel. It's not too often, but people that are like, what do you know? You haven't released an indie game? And I feel like, yes, that's true. But I've also put things out for free on itch and other things that are like better than other things that people have charged money for. We've had a lot of folks so far in this jam say that some of like the entries and everything are like really high quality and it's one of the best jams they've seen in terms of the actual games coming out of it. And that will be from the fact that it was kind of created by a teacher with an explicit learning goal of things that it wanted people to practice rather than just, hey, make whatever you want. The theme is blancmange or whatever. And by folks from our community, because we had like a quite a long back and forth about this jam in the community of just like, I think I presented the initial idea and then we brainstormed it a little bit and we're like, what's the best way to get people to do this type of thing? And we were just trying to simplify it down to it needs to be intuitive and have no words in. I think that was just ended up being the best way to achieve what we wanted to achieve, which was basically people doing a game jam properly, which is like make a small proof of concept for a game, not a really janky version of an overcomplicated game or a story or something. Yeah, I was very flattered to be the only sort of non-AAA person on Tim's list. We've interacted a couple of times, but mostly in his comments. I knew that he watched the channel, but getting like a flat-out endorsement like that was pretty cool. I think, Tim, I think when you're like senior in something, you have a sort of slightly different watching habits, because I think Tim's watching habits are quite similar to mine, which is that I generally don't have many things where it's like, I want to learn how to do this thing, so I'm going to watch content by someone who's done it. A lot of my content watching is from people that are like super into hobbies that I don't have time for, and I use it to sort of fill in the gaps. I probably watch more content about tabletop role-playing games and board games than I do about video game development. And that's because most of the things I need to know about video game development are like technical things where I need to just be reading the manual for the engine rather than listening to someone talk about it. And most of the things I need to learn about game design, I would learn from like listening to critics do analysis of games or whatever. So I'm not surprised that Tim's watching habits are like that sort of thing, because it's very similar to my own. I watch stuff that I'm tangentially interested in but don't actually have a practical use for. Okay, so you've got a limited amount of bullets for each level and you get them back by jumping on characters. That's unintuitive but elegant. The fox has got me stuck. Really nice set of trade-offs here. Basically, shooting the enemies is safer than jumping on them, but jumping on them gives you your ammo back. So you've got an incentive to do either thing. It's a good trade-off. Been a lot of talk of trade-offs in action games in this jam generally. Yeah, I think you could be misled by the art on this one because it feels amazing. And I think the art is charming as well, but it's definitely sort of like 90s PC platformer kind of art, which not everyone's going to immediately jive with. But the feel of it, like the responsiveness and the feel of stomping dudes is really, really strong. It's partly because of that sound effect, but also just the mechanical trade-off of do I stomp or shoot? Do I spend a resource to take this enemy out safely, or do I risk getting hurt in order to top my resource up and finish them off in one go as well because it's quicker? It's great. Downwell is actually a good shout, yeah. It's those really, really heavy bit crush sound effects, and even the gun sound is a bit Downwell. It's very funny that there's nothing to indicate that these animals are evil or anything. Chicken's just like, no, it's time to kill all the other animals. I mean, a mad scientist did give us our jetpack. I think it's a good example of putting story where it matters. So I keep bumping him right on the nose rather than on top. All the enemies have a kind of specific rule set as well. They're not just like reskins of the same thing. You know, I think Downwell might be one of the only phone sort of touchscreen action games that I've ever sort of really gelled with. I'm a virtual joysticks hater. Yeah! Great. Lots of stuff to like there. Really good example of putting the story where the story matters, to explain what's going on and to give you a break between the action. Intuitive and self-explanatory, yes. Would I play a longer commercial version of this game? Maybe not so much. My answer on that is kind of in the middle because I find it quite charming. I think it would need a lot of gameplay variation to make that feel like a game I would like spend like $5 to play for an hour or two. But I do really like it, but that's not kind of a strong area for it. Really, really responsive. Sound design is superb. Yeah. I would just say, you guys continue to make crunchy games about shooting stuff because you're good at it. Digging it. Okay, so we're moving with arrows or WASD, and then we can dig, but we can also press like down and dig to dig in a specific direction. Okay, so we've got like a hierarchy of how hard or soft the different materials are. This kind of flint-looking stone is actually softer than this more dull brown. Oh, that was a nice way of doing a kind of level progression. Okay, you can just like float upwards. There's no gravity, so it is kind of Boulder Dash type stuff. Can I go back to my house? I want to go home. We can buy music. I think. So I think they've kind of simplified this sort of SteamWorld Dig type thing down to just sort of every time you fill up. Oh no, it's that bar at the top right where there's a bag of coins. That's the treasure thing we're filling up. So I'm sort of trying to work out the economy and how that differs from the treasure chests. Quite slow to get back up. I guess that sort of incentivizes you not to do it more than you should. Hello, I'm stuck. We've got some strange gravity stuff going on in this game. It's a bit unintuitive. We upgrade the bag and then we can get more bag in our bag. Okay. What does that do, though? So I'm not sure what the treasure chest does, because it doesn't fill this up and it doesn't fill this up. I guess they're just the sort of larger goals of the game. The gravity is very strange. It's just sort of like making me... If I'm not pressing down, I'm sort of like automatically floating upwards. Okay. Let's move on from that one. A little bit, I find the digging and mining is always going to be somewhat satisfying. There's some strange stuff going on with the character controller, and I just don't really understand why I'm opening the chests. I kind of like the simplified economy you've got in that, of like you can upgrade how much you can dig, and that was making it quicker to dig through the mud and maybe quicker to dig through the rock, I'm not sure. And you can upgrade like the capacity of your bag as well. That felt like a very neat set of things to be thinking of as an upgrade, but the actual digging and going back and forth was feeling a little bit A little bit painful the further down I got because of the floatiness and the slowness. Okay, So we're pressing left and right to cycle. Ah, I see. So you tap left and right and you pedal, and then if you hold left or right without pedaling, then it turns that way. That feels really good. I don't know. I don't think I've ever played a game that used that specific way of doing it. I need to see the controls again. We can brake, and we're trying to take items to the people that want them. Okay, so this person wants a ducky. So if you didn't catch the title, this is basically like a Grand Theft Auto Robin Hood kind of game. So you're just going around town stealing stuff and taking it to the people who need it. There's a little bit of a lack of contrast between the buildings and the stuff you can drive on, which is making it difficult when you're moving at speed. But this is very charming, and I don't know if this is from an asset pack or if the buildings and stuff were made for the jam, but I mean, well done to whoever put these in, because they're just really nice. Let's see if the duck is in the same place, if its location's randomized, or can I just go back to where it was last time? Yeah, it's in the same place, so we can sort of memorize, which might not be ideal for a longer game, but it's going to help me out here. Tree, get away from me, Popo. This is fun. It reminds me of the UFO 50 game, the onion delivery game. But the controls in this are really neat. They're very awkward. So I'm going left, right on the WASD, and that makes me go forward. And then to steer, I need to stop going left, right, and just push in one direction. What I haven't been doing is using the brake much, and I think maybe that's where I might kind of make it more than 3 deliveries if I start to brake strategically when the cops are coming. Very interested in how you've done the AI for the cops here, because it seems like you probably need some sort of Pac-Man ghost type AI, but they're not going in straight lines, so oh no, you don't want a sandwich, you want a duck. I've got bad news about this sandwich. This feels like a sort of on the more kind of charming end of rage games type skill game, you know? Definitely feels like there could be a bigger thing here. Especially if you occasionally got a break from the chasing and you were doing something else, you know? Like maybe most of the time people don't know that you're carrying stolen goods, and then the police only give chase at certain points, so it does feel a bit more like kind of mini GTA with a bike. But it feels like there's the bones of something bigger here, and I think the very silly bike controls. There's something really nice and mimetic about the thing of pressing left and right to pedal. I can't remember. Oh, I think it was the game Season that has a bike controller like that, where you press the shoulder buttons, you press the alternating shoulder buttons to pivot the to pedal the bike. The fact that they just blow you up is funny as well. Okay. The game was intuitive and self-explanatory, yes. Feels quite nice. Hand cramped a little bit after a couple of minutes, but sound needed to be a bit louder. I feel like a bigger version of that, you would need a directional arrow or a sat nav or something, because you wouldn't necessarily have the people in the same place every time, and just driving around and hoping you find them by accident would be a pain. I mean, the other way would be so that you have to actually meet the person and get a quest marker from them to be told to go and steal this thing, and then you'd have to remember where they were, and that would kind of change the game significantly. But I think the actual core idea there is very charming, and the way that that controls is pretty good. Here is Jared Von Nickel and Tom. It's Cheese's game. Cheese, fellow host of One More Run. The second episode is out now. Not on YouTube yet, because the YouTube version takes longer for me to edit, but if you like roguelikes, you're making a roguelike, you're making any kind of run-based game, go and check out One More Run. There's a audio podcast version. There's a version on the YouTube channel as well. Oh, what are these little droplets? Okay, I can move the camera around with WASD. I can pick these little droplets up. I can drop them, and they die. But I'm guessing that we use them for watering things. There's a little rock guy. This is very charming. So I'm going to drop him in the water. Cheese should narrate game trailers. He has an excellent voice. There's an actor that sounds exactly like Cheese who is in all of Mike Flanagan's shows. I sent a video of him and I was like, Cheese, you sound like this guy. I'm going to get a soundboard at some point for the channel, and it will have Cheese saying, please can I have more video game on. She said in our playtesting video that I think needs to just be a channel catchphrase, because that's what you're trying to get players to say. You want them to say, please can I have more video game. What's over here? It says, warning, there is a forge. Okay, we've got... Yeah, picking stuff up and swinging it does feel pretty good. Ah, okay. How did I do that? This is a seed. And then I've got water drops, so I can plant the seed somewhere, I guess. Okay, so this is an interesting game, because obviously I'm having to do a little bit of working out how it works, but it seems like that is the gameplay, right? And there's a big difference between having a game that looks like it should work a certain way and then you just can't operate it at all, right? Like a platformer and they've just put the buttons in the wrong place or something like that. Versus this, where it's like the interaction you're doing is very simple. It's similar to Desktop Defenders we played yesterday, which was like clicking and dragging things to drop them on each other and stuff. But then we have to use that interaction to work out how all of these things in the world go together and like what we can do with them. Which means we're kind of playing to find out. We're playing to find out how this world works. It's kind of trial and error. But it's the kind of trial and error that feels nice, because they take quite a lot of wax. I'm hoping I get an upgraded tool for this soon, because this is going to get painful pretty soon. Ugh. Give me the stuff. Okay, we got a plank. Huh. You're carrying a plank for me? Okay, the leaf guys are... You're helping me out. Is that what you're doing? You're bringing it over here. Okay. Yeah, Robin, you know who I mean. He plays the homeless guy in Midnight Mass and the kind of housekeeper guy in Haunting on Hill House. They're secret twins. Oh, we've got Stick Guy. The way these legs are done is really cool. They've got some sort of like IK leg thing, and then they've just put it on characters. It's interesting when you know a developer and you look at their games and you're thinking like, what is kind of new stuff here? What did you have to learn to do this? Because I think good jam entries, you can obviously use a jam for just like trying your first game or learning a whole bunch of new skills, but I think good jam entries generally are people doubling down on things they already know how to do. So I wonder where the like new bits of learning were in this, but I bet these crazy little IK legs on these guys were one of those things. Because they seem like... That seems like a very specific skill or tool to need to learn. Okay, so if I smash the bushes, I get more of the little grass guys who are my carrier helpers by the looks of things. So we want to... Sometimes it's a little bit unclear what I need to do. I think maybe sometimes when I move the guy too fast, it doesn't register. I'm going to break you into this one and we're going to get another rock guy. Yeah, Midnight Mass is great. Mike Flanagan was really like, oh, I need to stop making Stephen King adaptations and write my own thing, and then just basically remade a Stephen King story. Yeah, it is 3D. It's just 3D with a really nice flat toon shader. From what I can see. Some of the things look like sprites. The thing I like about Midnight, I know I'm talking about Midnight Mass now, but it's because we're playing Cheese's game and he's in Midnight Mass. The thing I like about that, and I think I generally like about a lot of Stephen King things, is most of the people in them are just like good people trying to do their best. There's only one character in Midnight Mass that comes across as being like genuinely irredeemably evil. I kind of like that approach to making horror things. Everything does take too long in this game, you're right. I kind of like it when I'm in the mode of like trying to work out what to do, but when I'm actually doing the action and it takes like multiple whacks, that feels a little bit long. And I guess because it sort of seems a bit like a incremental or crypto incremental, you usually make things take a bit too long so you can automate them, but I can't see how I would get to that point. Okay, so these are like... I think these are like places we're supposed to put this resource, maybe. This is a place for stones. I think I should just focus on smashing all of the wooden boxes first, because I think they're occasionally going to give me a hint at what the different resource guys are. The different little guys. I've only been trying to smash into things with a rock, and I wonder if there's other interactions when I pick different things up and... Can I put you on a fire? Oh, the fire guy turned into ash. Cheese isn't really in Midnight Mass. It's just an actor that sounds very similar to Cheese and is in Midnight Mass. It's because he shows up every 5 minutes in Midnight Mass and says, please can I have more video game? You whacked a bush with a stick. Interesting. I don't have any more sticks now. Give me more sticks. You can sort of throw them as well if you swing them and let go of them. You sort of throw them, but they don't seem to... They don't impact things if you throw them. This is one of those ones where I definitely spend a little bit more time getting the interaction just right, because if you move things slightly too fast, it doesn't register, and it also feels like you should be able to like throw things into things and have them bash as well when you can't, which is a shame because you've got the throw there, but it just doesn't it doesn't like go, hey, this thing's moving at this speed. Let it still kind of damage that thing, which I think would be good if we had it. I feel like I might have burnt the only stick in the game and I don't know how to get another one. Ah, okay, we break those. That gives us more sticks. Okay. This is kind of like a Doodle God type game where you're kind of... It's about combining the things and working out what the combinations are. Don't know if you ever played Doodle God or... there was that recent one that is probably one of the only good gameplay uses I've seen of LLM chat yet, where it's like word association and you link the words together and it sort of just is using a neural network to decide what word is generated by each one. I can't remember what that was called. It was like Infinite Craft, is that what it's called? Right, this seed needs to be planted somewhere. But where? Mr. Seed. What are we to do with you, Mr. Seed? These are flints, I guess, so maybe they have a different kind of... Picking up the flints doesn't always work. It is like mini black and white, yeah. We've got an anvil here. Oh, hang on. Something's happening over here. I just got a nail come out. Plant the seed by moving it vertically with force. Where's the seed gone? It wandered off. Maybe I just need to put water on it and I don't need to care about where it is. Yes! Okay, we didn't need to plant the seed, we just needed to water it straight away. Okay, so that's going to grow. I think that's probably just going to grow into a tree. I think that's what we're doing there. Right, let's break open these boxes. Maybe the flints break boxes quicker than the stones. Is there a way of combining these things? I didn't mean to break you, Twig. I was trying to make you into a tool. Huh. So there is an anvil there, and it does have an interaction. When you put stuff on it, it loses its legs, and then there's some sort of interaction there, but I can't quite work out what it is. I don't think we can use one of these flints to make a tool, which is a shame, because I thought if there is going to be tools, that would be the first stage in the tree would be like a stick and a flint. Maybe here? Flints can be combined with the flint circle. Oh, maybe, yeah, let's have a look. Because I think the thing is the circle is making me think that this is how... Ah, okay. We get big flint by doing that. Well done. So we get larger resources by combining them in the relevant circle. I think the thing that was confusing me there is I thought the circle was where they came from rather than... Something to do with using them, you know? Okay, we've got big flint. And he breaks into smaller ones when you use him to smash stuff. You need 3 to make a bigger one. I kind of want to be able to pick up more than one guy at once. Maybe that's an upgrade. Can we make a really big flint if we put 3 big ones together? No, okay, so what happens if we put a big flint on there? That just broke it apart. I think the anvil is just for breaking things down. I don't think it does anything unique that we haven't seen yet. There's a chest there as well. Okay, see if we can get the chest. Okay, I have to stop this one in a minute, but I do feel kind of compelled to keep playing it. It's got that thing where it's just on the level of being kind of obtuse enough that you really have to kind of think about what you're doing. So it's kind of it's intuitive in the sense that you know what you're doing with your controls, and then it's unintuitive at the puzzle level, and that's kind of what makes it compelling. So I think it's a really good use of the brief. I think this is a thing that's come up a few times. Some people have used the lack of language to try and make a very puzzly game where you need to work out how things work. And that has worked very well when the actual interaction the player is doing is very simple. They're just picking and clicking. And then as soon as it's like, oh, we need like menus and pop-ups and stuff, it doesn't work as well. That's been my experience with them anyway. I can't pick up the twigs. They just break immediately. These guys are carrying nails. Where's my big rock gone? I just made a big rock. He's wandered off. There he is. It keeps just breaking them when I click on them. I don't think that's supposed to happen. Go back there and make a big rock. I think it's the zoom level. Like if you tap on things once when you're zoomed out, it just breaks them. And if you're zoomed out, it just breaks the thing. And if you're zoomed in, it picks it up. I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay, so let's... Okay, so twiggies. What happens if you go in here? Please don't just turn into a plank, because that would be disappointing. Oof. Got so many leaves. Ah, okay, they become a twig if you put them together there. And then I guess if I put 3 twigs together here, then they're going to turn into a plank. Is that right? You're going to turn into a plank? It's just getting really chaotic because there's so many plant guys. This one is called Little Guys. It's I can't really work out what I'm supposed to do next. It feels like there's some combination of getting all the things that is supposed to lead me up to being able to forge something in here, I think. Because everything else, it's like these are all different types of the same thing. They're circles that upgrade one thing into another thing. These ones and this. These are all circles that upgrade one thing into another thing. And then there's forge down here. And this kind of feels like this is supposed to be the goal that you're feeding into, but I can't quite get to a stage, at least in the amount of time I've got here, to be able to really see what happens when you do that. I'm trying to work out what the deal is with these little... I mean, we haven't opened one of these yet, so let's just have a quick... When I click on him next to these, he sort of like breaks them. But if I put him next to the thing I actually want to break, which is that box, and then click on him... Oh yeah, he does. Okay, that's a little bit quicker than... Ah, that's what's happening. Okay, so you don't always have to smash them into things. You can just click them next to things, and then they, like, smash it. But I didn't get anything out of that, so... What happens when you feed the bigger units into the furnace? Oh! Why does it do that? It's really kind of inconsistent with whether it picks stuff up or smashes it. So I tried to put that flint in the furnace, but I ended up clicking and I think it smashed into that block instead. Yeah, I really like this. It's very charming. I like the kind of core sort of game design of it. I think the problems that game currently has are with the kind of UX of how the clicking works and when it sort of switches context without the player knowing, you know? That feels like one I would play a longer version of. I like how the interactions feel when they're doing what you would expect, but there's a lot of times when they don't do what you'd expect in a way that feels confusing. Frog tide. So froggy. What's going on here? Is it going to be like a... Ah! Okay, we're doing like a snake... A snaky snake bird type thing, but we're trying not to get our froggy tongue tied. Okay, I see that that's your game over screen, but how do I reset it? What's the reset button here? Is it clicking? I just had to restart the whole page to get another go at the game. Not being able to touch the edge is really difficult. There doesn't seem to be a quick way to restart the game without just sort of Control R and refreshing the page, which is a shame because this is quite a difficult game and I'm going to be failing a lot. I like this. I think the way that we lose as soon as the tongue touches the edge feels a little bit harsh, and maybe try and give people a few frames grace to turn there. I think the maximum length of our tongue is getting longer with each one, so we are effectively doing snake, but we're doing kind of there and back again snake. Which is a good use of the tongue as the sort of control metaphor. When I first saw this move, I thought it was gonna like go around the whole screen in one go, and actually that was a more interesting challenge. I think that's it. I think that's basically the whole game, but I like that. I think it's a good use of the art style to have a sort of quaint picture book frog in that sort of scenario. It's an interesting adaptation of Snake to not... the tongue seems to get longer, or the maximum length of the tongue gets longer. I'm not sure. But... And you don't have to like do it all in one go, which is I thought was what was going to happen first. But yeah, the game feel wise, or like fairness wise, give the players a little bit of leeway when they can turn before they hit the edge, because that felt very, very harsh, and especially without a very quick retry, that felt quite harsh. But I could see that having a score system that was like, how many licks did you do, how much time did you take, and you could create quite a broad range of skill expression within that if you did that sort of thing. You decide to spend a day in the woods. Okay. I do. I'm Wasdin. I'm Wasdin. I'm doing it. Am I not? Oh, I'm not clicked. This feels nice already. Someone's left their purple gumbus in the woods. I will dispose of it. Oh no. Someone's left their human torso in the woods. I will dispose of it. Well, that's very cute. Hello, hedgehogs. I trust you're not the kind that's going to attack me. Nice to see some balance here, some pro-hedgehog propaganda for once. Ah, look. Some fascist propaganda. Let's put it in here. Ah, look. See, I wouldn't pick up a discarded sock in a park. I'd be more comfortable picking up the underwear than the sock. I'll save further explanation for Indie Game Clinic After Dark, a new channel that doesn't exist and probably never should. Look at these foxes. That's quite realistic. I watch quite a lot of sort of semi-domesticated fox content on Instagram, and they are genuinely like that when they're happy. Ah. This is incredibly charming. Obviously, it's not like a challenge or anything. There's nothing in this game where it's like, I need to get better at this game. But, everything feels very nice to do. The art style is incredibly consistent. Character feels nice to move around. Lots of things that could be little annoyances, like the trees getting in the way, have all been dealt with. Lots of care and attention to the and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but like the programmatic side of making the game look good, like the kind of tree occlusion stuff and the little boink of the objects when the look at the bin do its little squish. This is a camera angle as well that might not work in certain types of games where you really need to pay attention to like stuff coming at you from every angle, but because it's a mellow, you know, non-violent game, it's okay. Okay, so we've got... But we are going to start getting some puzzles by the looks of things. We've got a mushroom button on the floor that changes, that cycles this animal symbol. Hello, worms. I'm glad to be of service, worms. And that's how we get out of that door. Okay. That's a nice clear goal for us. It's funny though, because it's got a big lock on it, and I'm pretty sure it's not opened by a key. I think it's opened by doing that puzzle. Music's great as well. I don't know if that's coming through okay on the stream. Froggies. What's this? Basket. Ah. I've got a skill upgrade. It's a Metroidvania now, look. What a great inventory system as well. Because we don't really need to like recall any of the items, we're just putting them in the trash, so we've got a maximum amount, and when we hit the maximum amount of items we can carry, that's the one that goes into her hand. So that's a really good example of like the way that mechanic works being all very clearly communicated through the visuals of the game. Why are there more discarded clothes than trash? Sort of naturist festival. Ah. Thank you, Bears, keeper of the key. I will not betray your trust. I will. Take this key and open the secret key door that does actually use a key. The fact that that was like loads of them just made that kind of repetition of the animation quite fun, because it's like, when's it going to end? How many burbs will there be? Tim is having PTSD flashbacks to family camping. Ah, interesting. So a mouse. Okay, so the leaf button needs to be set to mouse. I think that's what we're doing here. So if we go down here and we press the leaf until it turns to mouse. And I think we probably already saw the mushroom one, but I didn't realize what it was for yet, which is there's a classic sort of like exploration game, puzzle game thing there, where it's like, what order do you put the key and the lock in? Okay, so the mushroom is a yak. We're backtracking. It's definitely a Metroidvania. We're backtracking. I got an upgrade that let me access new places by exercising a skill. Okay, I think this is where we started. Okay, we're going back to look for the third thing, and I'm gonna set the mushroom yak button correctly as we go past. Mushroom yak. No, not mushroom frog. Not mushroom moss. Not mushroom mouse. Mushroom yak. Frod. Hello, Frod. Hello, Burb. Hello, Frod. Hello, Bear. Where is my final clue? Oh, maybe there isn't one. Maybe I just need to cycle through the last... Oh, no, because the button doesn't appear until you've got it, right? So there's not a third button where I can just, like, brute force the puzzle by just randomly choosing it, because the button doesn't appear until you've got the clue. Dears, please tell me, where is the next clue? What's going on? We are here to give you the wisdom of some puzzles cannot be solved. I think maybe there's a trash can that I haven't actually finished somewhere. Behind the big rock? Nate, I don't know what the big rock is, but I'll go and have a look, because you said it back then, so it must be back this way. I've got a slight delay on the chat, so... Can I have a nice sit down at the bench? Maybe I do. Maybe that's the message. We need to have a... We need to do some self-care by sitting down on the bench. I cannot sit down on the bench. Ah, there's a... There... Oh no, I think the rock moves out of the way when we get the puzzle right. But we can't actually walk around there now. Oh, it looks like there's a path down here. Ah, there we go. So it's just the camera angle makes it a little bit harder to sort of orient yourself towards paths that are behind the camera, basically. Here we go. Here we go. I like to walk around the bottom of the room because then I can see everything that's left to clean up. And it's not a surprise. Okay, the flower button needs to be mouse, which I think it's already set to. No, it's not. Okay, let's go and press that button. Mice are following me now. Why are you following me, mice? Everyone's here. The whole gang. The owl's so good. I mean, they're all great, but the owl is particularly good. We should have had like a special judge's prize for best windscreen, I think. I might do one anyway. I can just do that, can't I? Oh no. Oh no. Jeffrey Bezos came. Jeffrey Bezos, why did you do this to me? Feel sad now. Don't know if I can go on. It's too upsetting. Makes you think. Jeff always wins in the end. Not fair. Snip, snap, snore 'em. Let's check out Snip, snap, snore 'em. That was a brutal ending, yeah. It was a commentary on the folly of trying to come up with individualistic solutions to large systemic problems. I mean, I don't know if that was deliberate, but that's what it felt like to me. It's the Slavoj Žižek bit about how having recycling cans and stuff entrains you into feeling like putting things in a recycling can is better than not having them in the first place. What is going on here? This is a very moody looking thing already. Got some very spooky synth music as well. Okay, you're going to show me a card. I'm going to drag a card. We're playing Snap, so I'm supposed to do that when they match, I think. Yeah, it's just kind of like... It's Snap with a, like, the cards can change, which is pretty neat. It's not giving much game, but the graphics are lovely and the feel of the interaction is really nice. That's it, I think. Oh no, okay. Okay, this might be a bit more interesting now. We're looking for the matching thing on multiple sides. A little bit like Dobble. Oh, I can link any of them, not just the one that's next to me. I think. I think the coins are just a score and life or something. Definitely becomes more interesting when there's more than two, and you needed the two to teach it, really. I think having the coin fall down on the pile so there's a little bit more of like a visual cue in the corner to show you that you're getting something would be good. Having it fall down and ping. You can hear that there's a coin sound, but it happens at the same time as the other effects, and having it delayed so it feels more like the consequence of the action rather than the same thing. You know, because all of the whooshing is us getting the card and scoring the point, and then after that moment you want the ding of the coin falling down to show you got a reward. The reward comes after the thing you did it for, you know? The reward comes after the thing that you did to get the reward. Not immediately. Right, he's out. He ran out of cards. Because we take the cards, right, when we win them. So we get more I think we get sort of more lives by winning rounds because we're taking the cards that we match with. He's out. Come on, lizard, give me your best eyeball. Give me your best tree. The hand and the tree are good because they're quite similar silhouette shapes, but not too similar. They take the cards if you don't match it in time. So it's balanced so it's reasonably easy for you to get it each time, but if there's an opportunity to match and you don't take it in about a second, then someone else gets the cards, basically. See, I didn't get that one. It's got like a timer when someone else will notice and trigger the win on another pair. Yeah, if I were going to try and make this into a premium game, I'd have them like do... When another character gets it and takes the cards, give them like a set... Just one other pose to do like a little pointing thing so it shows what's happening in the world of the game. Or they'd like put their finger up in the air, or just something to show that they're calling it, because I think that thing is a little bit unintuitive, and that would add quite a bit. Oh, there's a 3. That's the first time we've seen a triple. Too slow. They're getting a lot faster. The gap for me to notice, the window of opportunity for me to notice when there's a pair or a 3 is getting smaller. Yeah, you could do a lot with this with just like 1 or 2 other frames for each character, just so it feels a little bit more alive. And it would kind of create this slight putting you off element of the characters moving around. You could occasionally like shake them around and stuff as well if the layering allows that. Make them make little grumbling noises when they lose and go "Wah-hur" when they get one. I think when a game is about real tight concentration, it's okay to like put deliberately distracting things into it. You know, it's the whole bullet hell thing of like, bullet hells do lots of things that would be bad UX in other games because they're trying to sort of sensorially overload you so you can't concentrate because the game is so heavily about just concentrating for like a whole level and not getting hit. I think you could do that a little bit here with sound and the characters sort of taunting and celebrating and stuff. And then you could probably tune the difficulty down a little bit for a while, because this is ramped up quite quick, which is fine for a game jam, because I want to see what the core of the game is. But yeah, you could get a lot more game out of this by just making the difficulty increase slower, I think. Bells. Leaf. Was it fire? I don't know. So the cards that you have are kind of like your life, so we should be able to see that better. And I think just there is a sense of whether the stack is big or just only has one left in or whatever, but whatever. It's not super clear. See if it does one more. I think this is the hardest level it gets to. It gets up to this level, and then you're just playing that level again, I think. That's well structured as well, I think. As a kind of proof of concept, you know, you go into the game, there are 2 tutorial stages, and then after that point, if you keep replaying, it just keeps you at the hardest level. That's a very well structured thing in terms of like thinking of how people are going to engage with this in the game jam. It's not like level 1, level 2, level 3, game's over. If you want to play again, you have to start from the first bit that's teaching you how to play the game. It's like you can just keep playing at the highest level. Good way of doing it. Yeah, this feels like it's got quite a lot of potential. The first level, I was like, "Huh, this is not a game." And then as soon as you start getting the kind of multiplayer snap thing, it's a simple enough game to just sort of watch someone playing and just immediately understand the rules as well, which probably makes it quite a good streamer game. Because it's all visual thinking, it doesn't really distract you too much to talk while playing it, or at least that's what I'm finding. Knocking them out is so satisfying. Don't know if I've even got the card that they've got. They've got nothing else to cycle through. Are we broke? Are we stuck because I don't have a match? Or is my deck just so big it's taking forever to get to it? Think it might be broken. Black Rat, were you in the game jam? Because I mean, most of the rules were based around trying to get people to make something that was fun for people to play while they were voting for it. So yeah, Black Rat in the chat just said, "Do you think this being a game jam means people make game jam games?" The rules were specifically formulated to try to get people to make games that were intuitive and fun for people to play for 5 minutes while they were voting for them. And part of the reason for that is to try and get you to think like a designer, which is to make something for a brief and to make something in a player-centric way. Whereas a lot of people, when they approach game jams, particularly newer developers, they just sort of make whatever they want. They make something that is overscoped. They make something that is too complicated. And then when everyone else sits down to play their games, they have a bad time because they've got all of these games which would require half an hour to learn, or which are not very well communicated or whatever, because the person who was making it was not thinking about design in the sense that they weren't thinking about giving someone else an enjoyable experience. So if you're seeing lots of these games and thinking, oh, why is this so small? It's like the rules of this jam were deliberately focused on trying to make people make very small, polished games rather than broken versions of bigger things. And although the scoring system we've got is geared around things like, would I play a bigger version of this game, which I think is like always a good question to ask about game jam games. The games people were asked to submit were supposed to be small, polished games, not like a ropey version of some big grand idea that doesn't come across very well in this format, right? So, yeah, Sheer Madness is a good example of that as well. But the thing is, the whole point of asking people to make small polished games as well is a lot of kind of amateur entry-level indie games that we see, they do not have polish in the places where they should. You know, it's an action game where it doesn't feel good to fight things, or it doesn't feel good to defeat things, or it's a puzzle game where the things you're supposed to interact with don't feel nice to interact with. So forcing people to practice those skills instead of getting carried away with ideas that are too big for their skill set is kind of important. It's why the jam has been formulated around that. There are prizes. Why do people keep saying there are no prizes? There's about, I don't know, like 400 quid's worth of prizes. It's just their Patreon things. This game was intuitive and self-explanatory. Certainly was. I feel like this could be a commercial game. I really like the art style. Everything feels really nice. Sound design's good. The core kind of challenge of that was strangely compelling, even though it felt very, very simple. One thing I would love to see in that game is when you knock a character out, their chair either falls over or like flies backwards, or maybe it usually falls over, and then there's like a 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 chance it will fly backwards towards the back outside of the room, and then they sort of vaporize, right? And well, they disappear in different ways, but like the chair kind of falls over or flies away. That could be really fun, because knocking the other characters out already felt really good when you did it. It's kind of like you've got that micro reward of when you win the cards, right? When you win a hand, and that feels good anyway. And then when you do it and you knock another character out, it's like kind of a doubling down of that feeling. And I think you could really kind of juice that by making because it feels like it's kind of this spooky Inscription type setting where something bad is going to happen to the people that lose, right? And they just sort of disappear. And that's fine for the jam version, but if you were going to make this into a bigger version, I think having something more dramatic and impactful for that, and having them sort of like vaporize and their chair fly away or something would be really cool. This is a silly narrative game where you play as a therapist trying to understand your patients, meet them multiple times to gather all the information you need to help them. This is called Show Don't Tell. So this is going to be like I think like a kind of pictogram puzzle or something. Groceries are too expensive. Okay, he's saying, okay, I thought this was part of the message, but it's just part of the character design. So he's worried that he's losing money. So I can just give him money, which I don't think I should be doing because I'm a therapist. I need to ask him about money. Someone gives me money, and I give someone an apple. Then the person eats the apple, they go away. Okay, I sell people apples, and then they disappear. Okay, did the apple make them sick, or did they not like the apple? He loved the apple, but it was full of worms. Worms? This is similar to the miming game that we saw. This is one of the better interpretations of that kind of theme, this one and the mime one, of like trying to deliberately lean into the no words rule to make a puzzle out of it. It's also a very good use of this illustrator, whoever did the art for this. I pick my apples from the worm cemetery. The tree, you know the apple tree in the old worm cemetery? That's where I get my apples from. Maybe there are ghost worms in your apple. So he's saying what I will do is I will lay white lilies on the graves of the ghost worms, and then they will no longer haunt my apples. So we're not doing cognitive behavioral therapy then, are we? I don't know what this is. I'm a doctor. My patient was injured and they disappeared. They disappeared? I love the fact that we can ask them about apples. The wrong dialogue options are good here. My patient ate an apple and now they're gone. Did you investigate? Where in the world? Have you looked for worms? The doctor is going to retrain as a worm doctor. An apple a day, yeah, maybe. I love this lady, and now my heart is broken because she went away. Maybe you and I, we could kiss. I'll be good doctor. Who is this lady? Tell me about this lady. My lady? She went with a worm. Why don't you go with a worm? Oh? No. I don't love worms. Maybe you should become a worm and fall in love with a worm. This is definitely not cognitive behavioral therapy. It's something else. Wormophobic, yeah. Would you still love me if I was a worm? Would you still love me if I was a ghost worm in an apple? You need to get a trophy to continue going, or you can rewind. What's the trophies? Ah, very nice. So we have a set of different endings to produce from different routes, and then we can keep going if we got them all. Okay, we're going back. A thing that I think is really good here is this concept of like being the therapist and communicating through pictures. They could have gone with normal stuff, and it probably wouldn't have been very interesting. It would have been slightly depressing, and probably in a bit of a cringe way. if this had tried to be serious and used this mechanism. But because they've deliberately leaned into making it really cartoony, you can have ridiculous problems and ridiculous solutions to problems. And it's good. It's good. Feels very sort of like Psychonauts. Feels very Double Fine games. Okay, so this time we're just going to say, look, I'll give you some money. Problem solved. Now, you give me some apples. I told him to eat the apple. He became a worm. Tell me about apples. Someone threw an apple at my head and it hurt me. Well, why don't you put a potion on an apple? Haha. I will turn the... I mean, I couldn't get the game on the bus to work for me. It was like... I think the problem with the game on the bus is it was so... It seemed like it was quite a mundane thing that it was presenting me with, but the language of like how I was supposed to interact with it wasn't very clear. So it was like this big puzzle of just trying to work out what the game wanted me to do to interact, and I didn't find I was like... it was called Speechless in Seattle, wasn't it? That was a good title, lovely art style, looked like nice to interact with, but every time I tried to interact with it, I didn't feel like I was getting any closer to understanding what the game wanted me to do, whereas this is just very clear what the game wants me to do, and I mess around with it and find them. It's just like a visual novel without any words, right? Okay. Let's smooch a patient this time. Ah, there we go. Happy. Okay, we're missing a few. There's something apple, something poorly, a devil. Okay, your money flew away. Why don't you give your apple to the doctor? Excellent. Okay. We need to make the doctor sick, I think. Why don't you have an apple? Eat it. Eat the worm. Doctor got sick. Okay, we've got one last thing here, which is a devil, whatever that is. Why don't you have an apple? It will make you strong. I turned into a worm again. Okay. Right, we need to get to that guy. They swap sides as well. Apple. Read a book. Read the Necronomicon. A worm? Yes, that's what happened. The worm became the devil. And then we completed the game by unlocking all the things. That was very silly. But the kind of sense of humor and the... You know, it's not going to work for everyone. But it kind of pulled me through wanting to try the different routes. Good. It's a good windscreen. Nearly there, folks. I've nearly played every game. Lightmare, Bina, Watkey, Run Cat Run, Way Out doesn't work. I know. The ratings number is my favorite thing about the jam. I feel like that's where all of the learning happens on the jam. Or at least the design learning, you know? Everyone's learning stuff while they're making stuff, but the rating each other's game bit is... Okay. I don't know what's happening, but I'm fine with it. This feels pretty great. Oh, why did it stop there? Oh, my favorite one of these ever was an Xbox Live Arcade game called Baby Maker Extreme, where you were in a hospital and the baby flew out of someone and through the hospital and bounced off of things. Regarding the little cartoon at the beginning, if you're going to mix art styles from different people, just try and lock the palette in between them. You know, I would have gone the illustrations at the start. I would have gone back to that artist and said, "Look, here are the colors from the main game. Switch your colors around so that they match these colors." I think it's reasonably forgiving. People are reasonably forgiving about the art styles being different or not matching if the colors are kind of matching up. And other things are matching up, like the line weights and stuff like that. Doesn't have to be look like exactly the same person drew it, but I think those sorts of things help. Oh, that drop keeps getting me. I keep thinking I'm going to be able to break through the bricks for some reason. I keep thinking they're going to... be like sandstone and I can blast through them, but I can't. Oh. A lot of the little speed up things are positioned in a way that you can't really make much use of them. I just can't make contact with the ground to actually get the last jump in. I keep falling in the pit because I sort of go too far forward onto that ledge, and then there's not any space for me to make the jump. There we go. It's getting some performance issues now. I think it's just not despawning stuff behind me. Oof. Really, really starting to lose frames now. That's cute. Very, very mismatched art. You know, let's be honest. I like it. It's fun to play. I would try and get the artists to communicate a little bit more about the colors you're using and stuff. So it's going to score lower for game feel and responsiveness just because I think there was a lot of stuff behind us in the level that didn't need to exist anymore and we're still kind of computing off screen. I'm not sure. It did have that kind of slightly frustrating quality where it made me want to keep trying anyway, just because of that particular jump that I couldn't make, which is probably a good thing. Right, what key? See what's going on here. You've been hired at the local factory and have been provided no training. Luckily, you're very good at pressing buttons. Okay. You're going to be sneaky, aren't you? You're going to use the rules against me. Because I said the only time you can actually have an alphanumeric character on screen is if it's indicating a button on the keyboard or a or the button on a controller. I just made a Noah Khan song, I think. Okay, so I press space and it goes into the actual... This is wonderfully weird. What's going on up here? Okay, pressing space triggers the things into there. Oh, I get this is a it's a space team, like single player space team. We're like hunting for which buttons do the thing, and then when we press space it puts a new thing we've got to solve into the space in the middle. And then we do gradually get a record of what symbols the different things do, and then our hands are slightly like occluding those, which... So we need to find the thermometer. Ah, that's... So that cycles through the symbols until you find the one. But you have to leave it on the right one for a second, so you can't just spam it. You have to do it in a deliberate way, or it goes off and it goes on the wrong one. If you leave it, then all of the stuff that's waiting on the spacebar queue is going to just come up on its own anyway. There's a couple of different switches. Okay, so I need to find the second thermometer, which is up here on my keyboard. That's only got one thermometer on, so that one will resolve when we get it all the way to the top. And there's one over here that has two thermometers, but only one of them is triggering when I do that. Now I know how to like hammer the different thermometers at the same time to get the... Okay, that gets rid of that. These sort of elevator buttons. Getting them to match. So this is one where you're matching, but you've got to get them both right. You can't... You're not controlling just one side. God, this is when you really have to play to get it, but it's very cool. Okay, change that to the star. Change that to the pigeon. Change that to the squiggle, the spiral. Change that one to the spiral. And then we... Oh, I ran out of time. Very hard. Yeah, this is just like everything in this is superb. Like, the gameplay concept is good. It's well executed. It's challenging, but it hasn't introduced so many things so quickly that I can't work out what they are. The aesthetics of it is great. I mean, I'm a sucker for this kind of like 90s Nickelodeon style thing. Music goes really well with the way it looks. I mean, yeah, I mean, the thing about Juice and the feedback is that yeah, I keep saying this, but people are more willing to replay a difficult game if it feels nice to try and fail in it, you know? People sort of keep acting that like that's something separate that you do at the end of game development, and you don't really. You polish different parts of the game at different stages depending on what you need to do. And you know, and if you're very early into learning, you should try and polish things anyway, because you're going to have to learn how to do it at some point. The problem is, people hear professional game developers say, oh, make a grey box, make a prototype, it shouldn't be pretty. And that's true when you're actually just prototyping the gameplay concept. But you have to learn to polish at some point. So when you're doing a jam, you should make a smaller game and polish it, rather than trying to make a bigger game and handing it in at the last minute because you overscoped. Polish should be part of your scope plan for a small project, I think. That's right, and then the thermometers are the hardest thing at the moment. I can't find them, and then when I do find them, I don't have enough of them. Switches. Oh, so hard. I would ramp the difficulty up on that more slowly, but very, very cool. That's going to be one of the most memorable games of the jam for me. I mean, it won't be on the basis that I didn't play it for as long, but just in terms of what's actually going on there with the game. And like all of the parts of the game, including the stuff that you can see in here. Just really, really good. Nice to see lots of entries where like people have put them, you know, that you have a team of two and one person is primarily doing coding and one person is primarily doing art, and then both listed as a game designer. You seem to get tighter games out of that, rather than like when someone is like an artist and they just are just making assets and they're not really thinking about how they fit into the game. Bina, I've seen lots of people playing this. If you could collect them all and upload a screenshot in the comments, you get to choose the design of the two left naked little dudes. That's fun. Turn the sound up. There's a platypus controlling me. Oh, this is... Ah, okay. We're just moving left and right, catching the characters that fall. Turning into them and pooping them out. Oh, that one died. Sorry. They're getting... Oh, I see. I didn't realize they were stacking on a big piggyback. So as soon as you drop one, they stop stacking, I think. This is a lovely idea. Oh, and then you headbutt that. Ah, okay. So there's some sort of like auto balancing in the level design here, where it's kind of gradually getting harder because, oh, if you move too fast, they fall off as well. There's a lot of stuff to like here. I feel like I'm gonna need to restart it in a minute because the amount of characters in the background piling up as maybe dead is upsetting me a little bit. I think if those shining blocks in the background are collidable, maybe the characters should sort of bump off them as they fall down, like a pachinko thing. Because this being collidable was very confusing the first time it happened, because it looks like background. And if the characters bounced off them, that would be more clearly indicated. I really like this. I think you could maybe fade the characters in the background to sort of the blue a little bit, like make them slightly translucent when they're back there, so that they're much more clearly behind you. There's a lot of nice things here in a game with just moving left to right. Very okay. I start off with my little bear. I think it's supposed to be Pooh Bear. The sort of the feel of the feel of the sway of it when you move left and right is really good. Oh. Let's turn the sound down a little bit. Please, big blue murder snake, do not do that. Do not do that. I mean, I like the fact that something stays on the screen to see how long to show how long you've been going, but yeah, they look like they're kind of still in play, I guess. Off. So once you get to that stage, you have to stay on the side that you're on, or you lose your whole stack. But I did get rid of that tower now, I guess. So maybe there's a point in that. I got Donald Trump. I got a who's this? This is a pirate. Hot dog man. We're trying to find out who did. We're trying to find out who did this. We're trying to find out who's responsible for this. Crashing this hot dog car into this vehicle while dressed as a hot dog man. Hollow Knight. That guy from the YouTube thumbnails. Yeah, I think the blocks are the goal. The top one's got a crown on it, so we've got to win the game by getting the crown. The first time you lose your stack, it doesn't feel like you've done a good thing by getting the block, so I think just making it clearer. Because I thought what was happening was that was a collision, and it was like a punishment. But we were actually collecting the block, right? So maybe they should just look like treasure or something, just really way more obvious. It's great. Yeah, this is the one I saw a lot of chatter about people just playing it for a very long time. Among Us. And the fact that the character's already falling down and then takes over the bottom of your next stack, that's really cute. Don't know who the purple and green person is. Was that... I think I got a Buzz Lightyear and a Toy Story alien and a Pineapple Man. And an Among Us. And a Smurf. And a Sully. And a Doom guy, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Mignon. Ooh. Oh. Great. Good stuff. Yeah, I didn't really know it was supposed to be a door. So there's a couple of things there I think you could make more intuitive with a few little tweaks. I didn't even realize they were going through a door, you know. But yeah, that's lovely. That's very Moorish, and I could probably sit there and play that for a very long time. Very, very compelling sort of core mechanic there. Nightmare. Okay. I've got a little guy. I've got some stuff here. I've got eyeball. I got whatever that is. I got whatever that is. I got whatever that is. I would say none of these are super obvious what they are, these symbols, apart from the eyeball. Like the little character. The hitbox around this rock is massive. We're going to run out of battery. Right, so that's a neat mechanic. We've got like a sort of dark and light mechanic. We've got lots of things that you collide with that don't look as big as they feel, if that makes sense. Which is kind of strange. I take my stuff I've collected back here. And it looks like each color of material is upgrading a different thing. And I can loosely guess what those upgrades will be, like battery length, how big the light thing is, how quickly you can mine stuff. But none of these symbols is very, very closely like what I would expect the symbol for any of those things to be. So at this stage, I'd just be trying to like, I'm not going for a particular color because I don't know what each upgrade does. So I'm just getting whatever's available. Whereas when I see what one of the upgrades does, I might actually pass by some things and try and get certain things that I'm building towards. I think it was blue for the eyeball, though. I can't remember what the first color was. So that's going to make my range bigger, which will probably be the best thing to go for first. Okay, we've got all of the blues. We've got all of the greens. We need oranges and purples, I think. Unless by some weird fluke that can... We were just on the edge of leveling that up. Okay, we've got that. Do I do something to get it? Okay, we need oranges and purples. I guess I've had an upgrade, but it's not big enough for me to really notice. Still takes 3 clicks to click things, so I haven't upgraded the mining. If you're making games that involve exploration and going and looking for things, just keep asking yourself whether your game is dependent on the player just wandering and randomly bumping into stuff. Because I do see quite a bit of this. And it's always a bit like, well, why do we have this big space? Because you're just sort of like, you're making it into a case of, okay, I need something. Am I going to bump into it? Right? There's no information to help me know which direction to go in to find a particular thing. And that can work if you're making Subnautica, right? It's like, I don't know what's in any direction. You know, today I'll swim out that way and scout around and I'll get some information about what's out there. And then I'll have a mental note of like, oh, there's sulfur there and there's this other thing there. And then the next day I might go in the other direction and do some scouting. But if you're making a game that is just a maze or a big open space with nothing you can like learn in it, then you're going to have a problem because basically you're taking the movement and the exploration and you're just turning it into a random roll or a gacha type thing of like the player can go in any direction and their chance of finding what they need is completely based on luck. There's no element of learning the environment. There's no element of, you know, gradually coming to know what's in each direction because you've gone in that direction lots of times, because there's just not enough features in the environment for you to kind of learn a layout or anything like that. So there's some neat stuff here. It feels quite nice to do the main things. The massive collisions on stuff feels a little bit sort of takes you out of the immersion of being exploring a world. You know, like I can't walk any closer to that rock than that. And from here, I can't walk any closer than that. That's like a massive... These grass bits I can't walk over even though they're just depicted as little plants. It's a very strange approach to some things in this game. Yeah, the upgrade system is like, you fill them up and then I don't seem to get anything. Like, if I've just suddenly got a power, it's not a big enough upgrade for me to notice what it did. Like when I upgraded the eye and I got all of the blue stuff, it didn't really look like the circle got any bigger. And I went over here and I tried to interact with this using all of the buttons that I'd used previously, which is only the movement buttons and the click. But I was pressing space and enter and everything to try and trigger that upgrade. Nothing seemed to trigger it, so... And again, if I go out here looking for a specific thing, it just... There's no way of me having any sense of what direction I should go in, because it's... Yeah, I think they might be win conditions. But I think they do read as upgrades because we're so used to this. I mean, look, are there parts of the ship? Is that supposed to be these? Maybe. But the problem is, like, with resource gathering games, people expect that to feed into some sort of crafting or upgrade thing. So you're already implying something based on people's knowledge of other games, right? And it could be both. It could be that we upgrade one of those things, we get a little improvement. So it takes 3 clicks to break a rock, right? So one of these things could just turn it into 2 clicks. This could make our field of vision bigger. Doesn't seem to do that. That's kind of what I was expecting these to do, especially seeing as one of them is an eye and it's a game about light and visibility. Because this, I could see how that might be fixing part of the ship. Oh, look, we've given it another arm. Okay, I think we're going to get the mech if we get them all. So let's try and finish it. Let's try and get the orange because I want to see that final state. So we are fixing that vehicle. I didn't realize it was a mech because of like the angle and everything. Okay, we need one more orange. I thought it was like a spaceship drawn from above. Okay. We're gonna go in now? Is that it? I build a mech. And now there's a big one of them. Do I get to go into it? You just had me build a mech for like 10 minutes and I don't get to use the mech. It just is a turret. Gonna follow me? Is that it? Have we won the game? Hmm. I think that's it. I think you build the mech and that's the end of the game. A little bit disappointing to specifically have, you know, it looks like something you can go inside because of that window. Maybe they just didn't have time to implement that, but alas. Alas. It feels like a slight bummer one to end on because the last few have been so good. It wasn't bad. It was just, it wasn't self-explanatory. And that was partly because there were mechanics there that we've seen in so many other games and they didn't do what it seemed like they would do, right? It seemed like there's a couple of things we could upgrade in that game and we didn't upgrade them. Instead, we used them to build a mech that looked like a vehicle that we could pilot and then we couldn't pilot it. So, yeah, I don't know. And too much just wandering in random directions. It's a big case of like the game is the thing in the player's head, not the thing in the player's hands. I mean, it's both, but you know, the game is both of those things. And it's that felt very much like what's the game in my head supposed to be? What am I supposed to be thinking about as I do this? Because I'm going to randomly wander in a direction is not an interesting choice. I think the interesting choice in that game was like the interesting choice was the kind of push your luck of when my battery is nearly out. When do I decide to go back? Am I going to make it back in time? That was probably the most interesting kind of decision point in that game. But apart from that, it was a little bit like I couldn't really work out why I was doing stuff, and it wasn't super motivating to continue because there was just so much that it didn't do what I expected. I mean, there's lots of ways that we could visually have designed that robot to not make it look like a vehicle, but it looked like we were going to like get in it and stomp outside or something. And then like maybe open up a little last bit of the game where we're stomping around shooting stuff. But yeah, I don't really feel sort of super compelled to want to explore after that point because the goal I was doing is complete, right? I was collecting the resources to fix the robot. And then after that point, it's like, well, the goal has gone away and it hasn't done what I thought it was going to do, which was like make my character more powerful or enable me to like just walk through the dark while I stomp on things or whatever. Yeah, that was it. All of it. What are these two that I haven't rated? From Andy? Why has this one not showed up for me? Oh, okay. It's because there's no game. Okay, I think they put it up somewhere and then took it down again. Okay, this is available. They haven't broken any of the other rules, so I'm going to rate it as it's not been showing up in my feed. because the actual page doesn't have the game on it, but I'll rate it based on this. Hang on, when was this one uploaded? Let's have a look. No, 2 days ago. That's too late. I gave people a bit of a grace period, but that's like, at this stage, we're like over a week after the deadline. I gave people a grace period to sort of upload fixes and stuff, so that if people found any reasons why people couldn't access their game, they'd have a few days to fix that. But I don't want people like iterating on their game based on the feedback all the way through the voting period, because that's just wrong. So that's all of it, really. I think I've been through nearly all of them on a stream. There were a few that I rated offline because they were download only, and some of you would have seen me do that in the Discord. There were a couple that got disqualified for putting the controls in the game description, which we weren't supposed to do and was in the rules. Someone had a moan at me this morning saying, "Why did you disqualify our game? It's not like there aren't any. It's not like there are prizes. There are prizes. It's like literally listed on here." But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, the more people ask for more rule clarifications, the longer the rule document gets, the harder it gets for people to read. It's taken my pictures off as well. What's happened there? So yeah, that's all of the games. One of the things I'm going to be asking people to do, and I'll let me drop the link now, because you can, if you want to do this, just, yep. So this is only open to people who submitted a game to the jam, but I'm going to be making a follow-up video about the game jam. And what I want people to do is provide a short piece of video or audio. You don't have to film yourself if you would rather just be audio, because I will show game footage anyway. So I'm asking for people to upload a file. You just tell me which game you worked on. You tell me the other game that you'd like to talk about. And then you're going to be basically saying, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. I worked on this game," and I will show that game. And then I want you to give me 1 minute maximum about something important you learned during making the game or during the jam in general. 1 minute maximum. So think about what you're going to say. Don't just freewheel it, because I'm going to have loads of these to edit, and I want to make sure you focus on the thing that you think is most important to say, not like 3 or 4 different things, and then I have to choose which one is important, right? And then something you learnt from playing another team's games or judging the games in general. And then what I will do is I will take the stuff that is usable, because some people, are going to submit stuff where the mic quality is not usable for YouTube. Audio quality is the thing that people are most sensitive to in videos. They're much more sensitive to like audio quality than camera quality. And what I will do is try and chain them together. So, someone will pop up and say, "I'm so-and-so, I worked on game A. Here's what I learned when I played game B." And then the next one will be so-and-so going, "Hey, I'm so-and-so too. I worked on game B. Here's what I learned while making game B. Here's what I learned from judging game C." I'll try and chain them together like that. It won't necessarily come out exactly like that, but that's loosely the idea. And then I'll just put a thing here. Please type out your preferred name for the purpose of the video. I might not be able to spell it properly from your audio/video. So anyone who wants to contribute to that, it's only a couple of minutes, but I do want you to sort of think through what you're going to say. Don't just like send me loads and loads of stuff, because I will kind of have lots and lots to edit. And then I'll link it all together with some commentary from myself and talk about why the jam was this way. And, it's not going to be like a showcase of the games. That's the point. The games will be in it, and I will occasionally talk about the games and what they show us and what's good about them. But the point of the video is really for people to reflect on what they learnt. And I really want to have this second section that is about what you learn from playing other people's games and judging other people's games, because I think there will be people who submitted a game and didn't do any judging, but generally people have been incredibly good at spending a lot of time playing each other's games and judging them. And I think it's one of the best things that you can do in a game jam. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't open the judging to people who didn't enter, because I wanted the judges to be completely made up of other people who had tried to make a game to the brief, who had tried to make an intuitive, wordless game, and not like random people from itch who didn't understand what the purpose of the jam was, right? So we'll see what comes out of it. There'll be a video in the next couple of weeks based on what people send me here. Yeah, there will be some clear faves, but I'll sort that out in the edit. The reason why I'm asking people to, only submit to 2 minutes maximum is so that it's going to be easier to kind of focus that in. I don't think there's an easy way to do like whitelisting or blacklisting of games on that, and I'm happy to. Again, it's not about showing every single game, it's about showing people's reflections. So there may be some games where I show 3 different people talking about the same game. There might be occasions where a game doesn't get spoken about at all. That's just the nature of the thing. But I'm not going to use every single thing I get sent anyway, and that's why I'm asking people for such a short thing. What I don't want is people spending like hours and hours and hours preparing for this, and then their footage or their reflections that they sent me not getting used, right? Don't want that. So the winners are going to be announced in 12 hours, 35 minutes. The 3 teams that win, I will be sending you your prizes, which are going to be like Patreon codes, and you are free to do with those whatever you see fit. Whoever is the contact on your team, I will be sending you codes for your team members. Please obviously give them out to the appropriate people if that's the case. These are going to be like year-long Patreon subscriptions, basically. If you don't want them or need them, you can do what you want with them, right? So let's say you've got 4 team members and you win first place, and I send you 4 codes for Patreon subscription for a year. If you don't want them, or a member of your team doesn't want them, you can use them for something else. I would suggest giving them to someone that you know who is into game development as some sort of present, or you can use them for like things like promotional things, like giving them away as prizes for things to promote your game or whatever it is. I don't mind. I trust you to give them to people who are not going to be like Nazis in my Discord or whatever, because the fact that you've even got this far probably shows that you don't know people like that. But yeah, those will be sent out tomorrow once we've got the winners in, and then the video will come out in a few weeks. And I might do some other content around the jam as well, but I really want to do something that is themed around your reflections on what you learned, both from making your game, working with your team, and from playing and reviewing other people's games, because I think that's such an important part of a jam. And thanks to Cheese, one of the devs on Little Guys, for suggesting this, because I hadn't really started to think about what the follow-up content was for this yet, and I think Cheese's idea of like having people do some sort of roundtable reflection on the games is really good. And yeah, it's going to be hard to balance in terms of how many clips I get of people talking about different games, but I'll probably throw in some of my own thoughts throughout that as well. So if there's a game that no one's talked about that seems like it should be showcased, I will probably sort of self-insert there. That's about it, I think. But yeah, White Elephant, I think we call it Secret Santa, I guess. Will there be an average to see? I think so. I can't remember what the user side of this looks like at the end of a jam, because it's like a year between every one we do. So thank you, folks. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all soon.